everybody. Welcome to Life Worthy with Kate and Alan, who's filming for me. As always, I am Kate, and this is how we eat on Optavia. So as part of our weight loss plan, which we aren't really on anymore because we've lost the weight we want to lose, but we do still use the fuelings as you would if you were on program. So I wanted to kind of show y'all one of the cool things that we can do. So on program, you're going to be eating 4 or 5 of our fuelings. What is a fueling? Well, a fueling is simply a portion controlled, balanced, and prepackaged meal. No different than using pancake mix or using a seasoning packet in your food preparations. When we use our fuelings, they come in little, what they call sachets, little envelopes. And in this case, it's a roasted garlic creamy mashed potato fueling. And this is going to be perfectly balanced nutritionally between being low calorie, having a balance of protein and carbohydrates and fats, and being loaded with all sorts of vitamins and minerals and a probiotic and just all sorts of things that help support health. So the other part of this is that because we are coaches and because we have developed some time freedom due to our coaching business, we are actually home and we're going to be doing this for our lunch. So we're going to be making these mashed potatoes, but we're going to do something a little fun with them. We're going to make a grilled cheese sandwich out of them. I know it sounds weird, but it does work and it is amazing. So this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to take my measuring cup and put 2 of these in here. That's one for me, one for Alan. What you're gonna see is it's a powder, okay? And I hear people talk about, well, I don't eat processed foods. Well, I guarantee if I went into your pantry, you probably have something that is a powder, something that is in a box or a bag. So there's that. Because I'm doing 2 of these, I'm going to put about 1/4 of a cup of water in it. But what I'm going to do is stir this up and wait until it's about the consistency of a pancake batter. So I need a fork. And water. I'm just going to let the water run slowly so that I can gauge how it's stirring up. I will pause it periodically to stir. And if you see right now, it's kind of clumpy. So that's probably not enough water. And this is how I gauge it. That if I keep stirring, I want to make sure it's all the way incorporated. But I want it a little bit thinner. So I'm going to keep stirring water into it until, I think this is about right, it starts to smooth out. Now, if you're doing this for one person, it's going to only take a couple tablespoons of water to get to this point. If you're doing 2 together like this is what you get. And this is one of the good things about having both Alan and I on program together, is that we are going to be able to do this and support each other in our health goals. And you know, preparation doesn't take any longer. So there you go. All right, so if you notice, it's now getting thin enough that it's mixing up easily and it's getting thinned out. This is about the consistency that I want for my waffles because I want to be able to make sure that there's not going to be any lumps. All right, my regular size, because I'm doing 2 of them, waffle iron is already preheated and I have it sprayed down, so we are good on that count. If you are doing this for one person, you can use a mini dash, which is a smaller version of a waffle iron. I'm just going to scrape it directly into the middle, and then I'm going to spread it out, making sure that it's a consistent amount in each of the little squares here. And you notice it's not flowing, it is a lot thicker. And I do that on purpose with the mashed potatoes. This allows me to make sure that I'm getting it very consistent and it doesn't all flow into 1/4. I'm gonna close that and I'm gonna wait till I stop hearing it sizzle. Okay, so this is not going to be based off of the lights because the lights on these machines are designed for pancakes. So they're based on cooking that particular item. The way I'm going to be using this waffle iron is for our fuelings, which are thicker and they take a little bit longer. We want all that water to steam out and absorb. So while that's cooking, I'm gonna measure out some cheese and we're gonna talk about exactly how to appropriately use cheese and what so-called hacks when you're doing Optavia. Don't wanna make a mess, so we're gonna go ahead and rinse this out. Into the washer. Dry the hands. All right. So on our program, we do allow for what we call condiments, healthy fats, and then our lean and green, which is lean protein and non-starchy vegetables. One of the things that a lot of people on our program do, and they try to do it way too early in the program when they're still not 100% certain on how to account for things, is what they call fueling hacks. The point of a fueling hack is to simply give you some more variety with the fuelings as you go along. However, most of them add a condiment or a healthy fat. In this case, we're going to be using some shredded cheese, which I'm going to have to account for when I make my lean and green. I'm gonna have to reduce it out of my lean and green when we make it tonight. So when I choose cheese, I always get the reduced fat cheese. I don't do fat-free cheese because that stuff does not melt correctly. So we're gonna do the 2%, and I'm actually going to weigh this rather than measuring it in a cup. It is much more accurate to weigh things than it is to put it in a measuring cup. So, how do I do that? Well, this is a very cheap food scale. It's battery operated, it's simple, and it doesn't really ever give me any trouble. I've been using it for about 2 years now, almost 3. So it lasts for a long time. What you're gonna do is you're gonna put your bowl on the scale and let it zero out with the bowl on it. That way you're not measuring the bowl. Now, I'm only going to use 1 ounce of cheese. That's a 1/2 ounce of cheese for my husband and a 1/2 ounce for me. But look how much that actually is. There we go. So this is 1 ounce of cheese. It is super simple to overestimate the amount of cheese that you're putting in. So it's always a good idea to weigh it. All right. So now that we have our cheese, it's still sizzling a little bit, so I'm not gonna lift the lid yet. You gotta really listen to see it, but I also still see that there's a lot of steam coming up out of it, so that tells me that the water hasn't completely evaporated yet. So while that finishes cooking, I'll explain how I'm going to account for this. The dinner that we're going to have tonight will have cheese in it. All I'm going to do is reduce the amount of cheese in my lean and green tonight by 1 ounce combined, a 1/2 ounce for each of us, in order to account for the fact that I'm using it now. This will allow us to stay on track and to stay balanced. If you're not confident in making those adjustments and you're not confident in your measuring ability or just your ability to track it, then don't do the hacks. Just eat the mashed potatoes without doing the cheese. And ultimately, that's going to help you on your weight loss journey. So that is kind of an overview on how to do a fueling hack. All right, let's check it. I don't hear it anymore. And it's not quite there. I think we may have a split in there right now. So I am going to get my fork and use it to help me get this open. Yeah, okay. So this is generally what I call a fueling hack mistake, in that the potato split. But I'm actually going to use it to my benefit, because I'm going to put this right in the middle, almost like you're topping a pizza. And I'm going to use the fork to take this part that's stuck to the top and loosen it up. I want to try not to break the... There it goes. And there it comes off. I'll lay it right back on top. I'm going to close this, and what that's going to do is it's going to let me keep all of the heat in, and it's going to melt that cheese and make us some grilled cheese. If it hadn't split like that, then I would have simply put the cheese on the front and flipped the back part of, or the back half over on top. Doesn't take that long. All done. Now we can get some plates. So for this, I usually just use the little bread plates, but you can use a larger plate if you so desire. Try not to burn yourself. And what I'm going to do is just slowly fry this up. Again, I'm trying not to break it any more than I have to. So I'm going to just loosen it up all the way around. There we go. Off it comes. Break it in half. One half for me, one half for my husband. And we're done. And what we have here is an ooey gooey cheese sandwich. There you go.